background on this scene, you guys are a fly on the wall. It's the biggest trade show of the year. Anne is representing herself as her recruiting agency. I am going to be representing an entire generation of Gen Z and below, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. I'm here. It's my first time in the industry. I know nothing about automation and manufacturing, except now that I'm here, it is absolutely fascinating. And I have had interactions with other companies trying to get me in the industry, and you will hear about that. So, hi, Miss Wyatt.
Hi,
How's
Jacob.
it going? Jacob Sanchez.
Oh, it's so good to meet you in person.
Yeah, I know we connected on LinkedIn. I didn't know you were going to be at the event, but I'm glad I got to meet somebody in person here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm excited to meet you as well.
I wanted to give you this real quick. This is just a resume I've been carrying around. You can see my references on the front page.
Okay.
But something that I really liked about your company is that you guys, I don't really understand recruiting, so you're just taking people like me and placing it into the jobs in this world, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I see that, and this is very good. You did a great job with this, by the way. I see all of your experience is listed very clearly, your education's on there and everything, and your contact information. It looks great.
Nice.
So first of all, kudos to you. This is great. I see that you are currently in applications engineering. Is that something that you want to kind of continue on with?
Yeah, it's something that I want to jump in. I've been wanting to jump more into automation and manufacturing. So the engineering side of things has been more in automotive, and I've been wanting to take a deeper dive into the things that I see making our vehicles, robots, machining. But I feel like, I don't know, at least where I came from, it's extremely discomforting being in this environment where I'm supposed to come into work 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week, and then go home, and then do it again, and then come home. And that's supposed to be my career growth because that makes money and that helps me live my life. But I don't understand. I don't know. I don't want this industry to be like that. You guys have big machines. You guys have robots. It just looks dirty. Like, why would I want to come in here and work with my hands on this stuff?
No, I get it. And, I completely understand, I'm a mom, I've got a little one, I'm always running around with him. So I completely resonate with that. And, I get it. What about, I think, you know what, Jacob, I have this client that is looking for an applications engineer. And you know what I really like about them the most is that they kind of offer that flexibility of work-life balance. And they are really centered around their culture and their workforce. And they also, what else is really cool about them? They do some really cool community initiatives.
Oh, nice.
They have a really strong mission.
That's pretty sweet. That's not a lot. I haven't heard about that in a lot of industries, at least that I'm in. And that's something that I feel like more people should touch on when it comes to your passions aligning with my passions. If I'm going to work for your client, would they be your client, the people that are hiring? If I'm going to work for them, I don't want to just make sure that they're making me comfortable, because everybody likes to say they have good culture. Everybody has a culture, and of course they think it's good. They invented the culture. I also want to ensure that it's a two-way street, though. Do you feel like they can feed into me training-wise as much as I'm giving back to them to help run the business?
I think so. They have a pretty successful training program that they've initiated internally. So this is something they've been, taking an approach on for years in the making, and they've had a lot of growth and success in it. They even have an on-site training center. So I feel like you'll also be given opportunities for mentorship and growth and career pathing as well.
That sounds awesome. Well, sign me up. I'd love to meet with them.
Awesome. I will give them a call and get you in touch.
Yes.
Yeah.
My first step into automation and manufacturing. We're on our way. So, the purpose of this exercise is me and Ann had a conversation before meeting here. I'm gonna set another 10-minute timer. And our theme, if you guys read it, is about recruiting your capitalized generation for our capitalized industry. The reason we did that is because there's been a lot of siloing going on, and I'm guilty of it as well, where it's Gen Z is over here doing this. Millennials are over here doing this. Boomers over here think this. Gen X is, who's Gen X? They're the forgotten generation. And we're siloing ourselves and just talking about how this isn't working. And we talked and we were like, what the heck is with that? Well, why are we not just owning up for our generation in this industry and then coming together to make the difference? And that's been something that I think every single person that's touched on this entire trip is wanting to have millennials doing more of this, or having more Gen Z involvement, or going younger, getting into middle school and younger, which is Gen Alpha. This exercise was to show some of those points of, it's going to matter what the recruiters are doing to bringing talent pipelines into places like Mission. Things that you guys can be doing to work with your partners every day. They have employees. If you can provide them with talent, you will be extremely useful to them. As well as you're needing to feed to this next generation's passions. That two-way street I keep talking about, I will work as hard as I possibly can for a company that I feel is feeding into my career growth, and that's going to make me want to feed back into that company. So that's why you heard us mention that. And then mentorship. We've touched on that a few points. I'm not against the older generations when it comes to the ones that are close to retirement, like about to step out in the next 5 or 10 years. That's something that we need to start working on, where we're working with companies to build a tribal knowledge. So getting more companies to really buy into that mentorship. Have these older, it's not like these younger kids are scared of old people. And I'm talking 70s, 60s, because you have that age group still working in this industry. Get them into the schools, the younger kids you want to talk to, get them feeling like grandma, grandpa, get that connection going, that mentorship vibe at that young age. And it gives your older generation something to not just sulk over until they retire. Because honestly, I hear so much in so many different companies, these older people that are so close to retirement, they want to leave. They want to get the heck out of here. They don't want to be working there. And the only reason they are is because they have to. So at least if they have to do that, give them something to do where they feel like they're bringing value to the company and our industry. So those were some key points that we hit on there. I wanted to have Anne talk more about how she builds those nice pipelines for companies when it comes to bringing in the next gen of talent. So I just wanted you to jump in with that.
Yeah, absolutely, Jacob. Thank you. So as Jacob kind of illustrated here, we kind of wanted to set this up where we're breaking down these generational silos, right? These have been kind of a thing for a while now. And, I think it's really taking the focus away from how we are working together to solve the talent shortages to, making it about a certain population's taste or a certain generation's, dare I say, work ethic. It's really not even about that. It's more about finding that common ground, right? So in recruiting, I think there is a lot of value in understanding, just like you would with marketing, what and who your audience is. So depending on, what type of roles you have available and who you are interested in acquiring for those roles, right, depends on how you should take your recruitment approach. There is a lot of science backing the fact that each generation values different things. For Gen Z, it is very much about the mission, and how that, like Jacob said, aligns with your personal passions. And they're really coming forward and they're stepping up and they're saying, we want that same type of vibe, right? We want that same feeling. We want that same fire, more or less, when it comes to what we are passionate about. Inside work and outside work, we want that to be reflected in our professional relationships. If you look at the older generations, that was highly frowned upon and discouraged, right? It was like, come to work, do your job, go home. There wasn't a lot of formal training opportunities for that generation. So they're kind of not understanding the need for the younger generations to have this mentorship. So when you're looking at building your recruitment pipelines and your talent pipelines, things like that, you really have to think about these things, because I think a lot of companies do these things innately, but they forget that they do them, or it's not something that they would think automatically would be an attractive aspect of their company that they would use for recruiting. So I had this one company that I always rave about, but they kind of take this approach where they speak to as many generations as they can, and they do partner with local area organizations, and they do work with nonprofits, and they do work with the tech schools and all of that stuff. They've been very successful in their recruitment strategies of not only retaining the workforce that they currently have, but also recruiting the incoming generations as well.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
And before we open it up to questions, because I'm very big on actionables, I want you guys to come to this section and have your questions answered. I want you to be able to leave with things that you feel like you can do based off of mine and Ann's knowledge after this. Real quick, Jeff, I feel like the mentorship that we're talking about, when it comes to you producing content, you talked a lot about e-learning for your customers and companies. I see no reason why you can't do digital mentorships. I would almost like a pen pal. I would love to have a digital mentor that I can set up meetings with on a weekly basis, monthly basis, or as I need to help develop my skills. Obviously, it's not going to be hands-on, right? But just having that person like we do when we jump in each other's DMs to have through my career, whether that's somebody internally at the company or something you set up where it's just a virtual connection. Start connecting internationally with a company in Germany. When you get those multi-conglomerates, let's use Haas for an example. They have something in the UK they have here. You can get into Haas, say, hey, I want to create this mentorship training program for your employees. We can connect it with somebody in the UK who has something that somebody in the US needs. Connect them this way. I'll plan it like this. That'd be a really cool source of video, I think, or at least e-learning. In my mind. So any questions anybody has regarding community building, mentorship training, recruitment that Ann can answer that you guys may have?
It's such a big issue. So I spent a lot of time in this space, and I think we're all trying to figure it out. There's so many, things have been thrust upon us so quickly, as both like people work, people who do businesses. As you look at the changing dynamics generationally, expectations, how we work, technology, what are you seeing in terms of the recruitment side? The most common themes of expectations of qualitatively, quantitatively, like how our Gen Zs and millennials and just generally speaking, people who are early in their career, which is a better way to say it, call it a generation. Really, what are the signals they're saying in terms of how they want to work?
That's a great question. Really, with the younger generations, they really value work-life balance. So they're going to prioritize they are working to live, they are not living to work. So for them, they want to be able to come to work. They want to be able to do a great job too. And they need a lot of validation and positive reinforcement while they're training and while they're doing that work. But at the end of the day, they understand that there is life outside of work. I think that hits them a little bit deeper than previous generations. And they're just not willing. What's interesting is while everybody's kind of like previously is like, I don't necessarily care for it, but just accepted that this was the way things were. What makes them very unique is that they have so many options right now with employment opportunities in the job market and the workforce shortage that they can essentially say that.
How do you, so in essence, how do manufacturers create a compelling employer value proposition? And what would that also, like, take all the restrictions off of it? How could you could build let's say a typical manufacturer, like that covers 80% of what it looks like. What could be the best possible employer value proposition do you think a manufacturer could create to try to make it as compelling as possible for someone to come into that?
That's a great question. So what I kind of try to do when I am approached by potential clients is we do have a screening process and everything like that. But one of my favorite questions is, why do you want to work here? It's one of my favorite questions, especially to ask in the HR leadership roles. I'm like, why do you want to work here? Because HR is a very hard field. I don't think people, they get a lot of grief.
Yeah.
They really do. So, when they can explain to me why they have stayed with this position for so long and what they love about the company, and then if I can get some similar feedback from other people in the company that match that, then I almost, like, if I ask 3 people and all 3 people are telling me the same thing, I can almost guarantee that that's probably a theme that they have within their unique plant culture that they could really, create a compelling story around. So whether that's
It's authentic, because that's what they're validating, right?
Exactly. It's what makes them unique. It's what makes, we'll say this plant that's, with this culture making, like, even if they make the same product as the other shop down, around across town, what makes your plant unique? Find what makes your plant unique.
And it's not we make the most precise equipment, we're the shiniest.
Exactly. It's
all
about
your
the
competitors
people.
are saying that. Of course, if I'm shopping with you as a customer, you should make your products precise. Your shop should be clean. AC should not be a benefit. These are all basic needs, at least to my point of view, that I should be getting when I go anywhere. So you do need to start reaching outside of that. What I like to see, and I know a lot of my other friends in different spaces like to see too, is delegation. If I see delegation from leadership, that's a big plus for me, because I like feeling responsible for tasks. And the fact that you are giving me that trust to be responsible with that task. If I see that, that's a green flag. That's awesome. And then, like we already touched on earlier, actually seeing you out in the community and stuff, that gets me excited. I know a lot of my friends that just love doing community service things. Those are 2 green flags that if I see in a company, or a lot of my friends have talked about seeing in companies that they enjoy. So
I think one benefit we miss in our industry, all of our industries have, we make something.
Mm-hmm.
And, I work with a lot of software engineers that are transitioning over to our industry. And I always ask them first why, because some of them just think the grass is greener on the other side. It's not. But the most common answer I get is they're tired of, like, I share with Gail, even my brother, they're tired of making an app, replacing an app that already does the same thing. They're like, there's just no end and there's no satisfaction in it. I mean, you can, I worked at a joist manufacturer. I'd look at the clothes and like, hey, it's got our tag on the end of that joist. We made that. We make things. And that's something I think we miss advertising.
And a big thing too, that a little off track, but I'd love for us to do trade shows in a different fashion, or have separate things outside of trade shows for our communities. You guys are all talking about wanting to do activities, right, with generations that or the younger kids. You want to get I heard somebody say parents involved. Teachers getting more buy-in that way. Well, we may not be able to bring them into our events. We may not be able to get them to go to these trade shows, because when people hear trade show, the stigma behind that is sell. That's what people think when they think of trade shows. And even though that may not be what it still is a lot. But what it should be is us setting up separate events for community. I'm talking, I want it like a fair. I want like a county fair, street fair. I don't care what it is. I want people to come in, have fun, see these machines or equipment, making cool things, assembling cool things, and just to learn, just to come and make it a fun day, like you're going to a museum almost, and you're just seeing the coolest stuff and learning something when you get out of it.
That's where trade shows came from.
Yeah.
World Fair.
Yep.
So.
In Windsor, we just had a skilled trades fair, but it was part of our local Express basketball game. And it was incredible how many young people came out. And I'm on the board of the Canadian Association of Woolmakers, so we had a table there. But one of the things I said is, yeah, we need to have people there that can like talk. Anyways, there was photos you saw of like people and young people coming up and asking questions, and it was, so you're right. It's about doing, and I do work on mental health as well, and it's like, it really is very simple. Yeah, people miss the most simple things. It's when you're out in the community, and staff they feel pride when they see their company. So I've been encouraged with this because I wear the double hat, and I said, like, when you're supporting something in the community, you're not only helping recruit, but you're retaining as well. And that's, people miss the aspect of retention when it comes to staffing, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Are you guys familiar with JA? Do you all?
Junior Achievement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a huge program in Bowling Green. And that was something that our SHRM group always participated in, was JA. But I mean, that's a great opportunity to kind of take, even if you have a member of your staff that's already doing JA, take a picture while you're there talking to your kids and teaching your JA course, and throw it online, throw it on social media, use it as part of your recruitment strategy, right?
I'd love to jump in here. I'd like for us to start wrapping up, getting everybody out on the road. Conversations can continue the rest of the day. Me and Megan were actually just talking about mental health a while ago, so if you guys want to jump on that later. But thank you for listening to us.